The Ethereum run has begun, or at least it has been taking another leg up, is what I should be saying. We are seeing continuation. So one of the more long-term ideas on this channel that we've been espousing for the past few months here is that Ethereum is getting ready for that big bad move to the upside. I do believe that we've seen the beginning of that in this past week now. So I thought that today would be a great day to follow up on this one. I'm actually recording this this video one day in advance, but we're going to be looking at very, very high-term timeframes here and referencing the more long-term. Now, this is really important for one of the more long-term ideas that we've been espousing on this channel, or kind of tinkering over on this channel for the past, I do believe, about 10 months now, is that we have been seeing verification and I do believe validation now of the theory that we are seeing crypto rotations. We're seeing a true crypto rotational market in which you're seeing Bitcoin move strongly first, then that flows into Ethereum, and then what we would expect next to happen is mid-cap alts, and then the dumpster fire shitcoins. And yeah, there's going to be, you know, one-off altcoins here and there that just rally up to the moon and beyond, despite what the other ones are doing. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the general average of this market. And this is really the first time we've seen something like this since 2017, and it does bode well for the more long-term view of this market heading into 2024 and likely 2025 as well. So again, this is in my opinion actually quite big. So first things first, I do want to start off things actually on a Bitcoin note here. Again, this video is being recorded one day in advance, so this might be null in it might be completely null by the time that it actually does come out. But I wanted to first call out this meta signals setup over here. It's a 2-hour time frame, so a little bit on the lower side. But if any setup's going to fail, I think this one actually has a pretty good probability of failing. Although we can actually go over real probabilities in a second. But ultimately, it is firing off a bit of a short-term setup for a higher probability of an upside move. Target 1 in this case is going to be about 44,120, and target 2 going to be 44.5, and target 3 going to be 45,700 almost. So again, you know, when we're looking at something like this, do understand the probabilities that do surround them, which they are actually included on this card right here, which is beautiful. And the first target point actually does have a little bit greater than 70% probability, but you know, it's not a crazy move, obviously, just back up to range highs. Target 2, 54 and change, and target 3, certainly much less at just below 40%. Even there's probabilities for stop loss areas as well. If you're looking at the first stop loss region, then we would be looking at about a 53.5% probability, so on and so forth, as it just go further and further down. In this case, I actually do think that things would probably need a wider berth here, to be quite frank with you. You know, realistically, I think that this one could still work out as long as you're above about 42.5, but fair enough. Let's actually go into Bitcoin as far as the HPDR ranges go. I wanted to call out that on the 2-day time frame, we do see that the top side of the 50% historical returns range high is actually being used as like a bit of a buoy right now for Thursday's sell-off, which we did speak about as kind of like a likelihood, maybe even leading into Friday as well. But basically, as long as Bitcoin's closing above, what is this level right here, 42,800, which is really where I would think that if you are going to look at a setup like this, it's probably the real area that you should be looking at for potential stop loss. That's just my personal opinion. Okay, that project over there, it's a different thing. It's going off of different things, obviously. And again, I'm an investor there. It's not like my own project, to be fair. But in this case right here, yeah, I would probably be basing it more off of this, just because that's a tool that I'm more familiar with, and that is kind of and that's actually a good insight into really, in my opinion, the best way to be using something like this. If you are interested in the meta signals, which I will include a link to their Discord in the description below, is that you should be using your own knowledge in alignment with it, and you know, looking for points of confluence there, and at that point you can probably come up with something pretty damn powerful. It's good on its own, but always gonna be better when you do have, you know, your own understandings, of course. Anyways, yes, so in this case, the 2-day time frame is telling us a lot of things as far as this goes. First things first, yes, coming back to this region right here, we would be expecting a bit of a bounce if Bitcoin is going to continue, which would be likely validated if we're starting to see volatility continuing to expand, which that's not volatility, this is volatility right here, which it is starting to expand, but not above the crazy 50% level just yet. That's really the next area that I do want to see. If we do see volatility continue to expand, which as far as the moving average does show, we should expect that actually. So that would be more likely volatility expansion would imply upside continuation in this case. If Bitcoin were to come back down below 42,800 on a closing basis, you're going to see volatility likely come back, contract yet again, which would be indicative of, well, fake breakout. But for right now, I still do look at this breakout as legitimate, and realistically, Bitcoin can, move very easily to the upside. Into the mid, maybe even deep $40,000 territory from this area in the coming, few weeks. So ultimately, the next tick, which we're going to get tonight on the HPDRV, if we see this one tick up again, especially on the moving average, that to me is going to be validation of volatility expansion. Volatility continuing to expand does imply that upside continuation is significantly more likely. It's not that it's significantly more likely, it is what will happen if that is going to expand, which is significantly likely, I should say. Of course, that all gets nullified below about 42,800, let's say, on a closing basis tonight. If you see Bitcoin below there, okay, we have a bit of a short-term trap setup going on. Could see all the way back down to like low 40,000 bucks again. So fair enough. Anyways, now let's get on to the heart of this analysis. It's going to be Ethereum over here. Again, referencing the higher term timeframes, we had been looking at Ethereum within this sort of, to be fair, it was, and an ascending triangle. We're looking at it on these large lines right here, which funnily enough did play out. But more importantly, as with any formation, it's not the formation that makes it special, it's the trend. Trend matters, formations, in my opinion, don't. Or formations are just a bad way of understanding trend. Or it's not that it's a bad way of saying it, it's just not as accurate. Just fucking get the trend and you get it and get things right more often than not. And in this case, what do we see? Weekly low, weekly higher low, weekly higher low yet again. 3 higher lows in a row. Okay. Probably having a trend reversal, especially with the same highs right here. And what do you know? Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, but Ethereum gets its first higher high. This is on a macro scale. This is very, very important. We're seeing also moving averages continue with that upside pressure, as we did identify many, many weeks ago. 1, 2, 3, 4 now, with that silver cross right here, as you can see, and now breaking above basically yearly highs for Ethereum, and also what would be akin to the May 2022 breakdown region on the 50% retracement level. This is a legitimate breakout, and it very likely goes for more. And this is what I'm saying in the sense that we're seeing rotation between Bitcoin and Ethereum now. Bitcoin moved up first. It is somewhere, if we were to make like kind of an apples to oranges comparison, it'd be somewhere around here between the 786 and the 618. Let me just show you this really, really quickly to put things into perspective. Yep, basically right there on this Bitcoin chart. And Ethereum is now following after Bitcoin has already made that move. Bitcoin going into a bit of a short-term consolidation, probably trades sideways, maybe making some slightly new highs along the way, but ultimately trading sideways above 40,000 bucks as Ethereum catches up. And then we'd expect, the next strongest within this market to start to step up as well. So again, we're seeing rotations in this market. I'm not saying that altcoin versus Bitcoins are going to be having great rallies. I don't think that's what's happening. In fact, the charts would suggest otherwise. The charts would suggest that those are going to continue to struggle as most altcoins fail to keep pace with Bitcoin. Some will, but most will not. And so Ethereum stepping up here again does kind of validate that theory and does make me more confident, or confidence not the right word, have more conviction on the theory that we've been kind of tinkering with on this channel for a while now, that this market really is seeing rotations, and that does speak towards strength into the next year and maybe the year after that as well. So overall good. Anyways, Ethereum right here on the weekly, many things are happening, right? Or actually, it's not even a weekly. We should really just go to the monthly. Speak a little bit more directly towards the macro here. So first things first. Okay, let me take these off. Let's get naked on these charts. Ethereum monthly volatility, second to lowest level we've ever seen it on ever. And it's going to start to expand from these regions, extremely likely, which does imply what? This rally is just getting going. To put things into perspective, the last downside move, which ended in, what exactly was this? Like December of 2022. As far as volatility goes, that one got up above 90 percentile. Right now, Ethereum monthly volatility is 33 percentile. you know, the last time the last couple of times that we saw it this low was in this region over here, and realistically, I mean, that did lead towards the last time was a downside move, obviously, but it did lead towards an 83% move to the downside almost. Before that, actually, we really don't. Unfortunately, before that, for the prior cycles, we don't have volatility reads that would make much sense because it was just too new. I think that this one over here will make sense. But regardless of that, all momentum oscillators are pointing northwards. Monthly, hidden bullish divergence, reclaimed the neutral zone on the monthly RSI, reclaimed the exponential moving average on it on the RSI, and heading back up towards the bullish control zone, which we haven't seen since October of 2020. Again, this it's suggesting that this move is just barely even fucking started, which I know sounds crazy, but when you look at the monthly here, all oscillators are on, continuation positions from rather low levels. Here's a monthly jewel continuation, assuming that things close here or higher by end of this month. It's going to continue with that upside slope, continuing with that cyan light blue color. That implies that both momentum and volatility are positioned towards the upsides, and volatility has yet to really explode according to the monthly. So this can go a lot more. This can go a lot more is what I'm trying to say, which I know, like, I usually back away from saying like more direct things on this channel, but recently I haven't, just because, well, it's been kind of fun, to be honest, but maybe it's best that I do. But anyways, going over here to the quarterly, a couple more things. Quarterly, hidden bullish engulfing dildo. Hidden bullish engulfing dildo. I am combining terms here. What I mean to say, bullish engulfing dildo, not hidden, however. This one's very well apparent. I fucking hate the term hidden anyways. But if we were to look at the 3-month, the quarterly RSI, there is hidden bullish divergence here. It really should be called a continuation divergence, but the lows on the quarterly RSI were lower here in 2022 compared to the lows in 2019 and 2020, thus implying that bears used more force, but got certainly less of the way lower. In this case, we have significantly higher lows right here to the tune of like almost 1,000% higher lows. Fucking crazy. And now quarterly momentum once again turning onto the upside as the quarterly RSI does reclaim, or will have a chance at the end of this month of December to reclaim the moving average right here and also make it in the bullish control zone for the first time since basically 2020. So just looking at this on on the quarterly chart, massive bullish engulfing dildo on a time frame like this. I mean, I'm just gonna straight up say it. It's not out of the question to see a move north of $3,000, somewhere around like 3,200. I wouldn't say relatively soon, but relatively soon, like probably in the next 6 months, in the next couple closing periods here, 3 to 6 months. It wouldn't be out of the question. It would be actually like quite reasonable, I would say. Although again, that's an opinion, not actually based off of any statistical fact. Looking at the fibs here, we can see the 786 kind of aligning with that region at 3420. This breakdown over here was about 3,300. We got the 618 at about 2,560. I suspect that this current move probably finds its way somewhere similar to Bitcoin, a little bit above the 618, or at least around the 618 in the deeper 2000s. Probably spent some time consolidating there, and then sometime around mid next year, we see a launch much higher. Again, I still think that this market, generally speaking, will take its time, but again, today is Friday, and if I'm just looking at NASDAQ pre-market, which is kind of a blasphemy, but made new yearly highs. Made new fucking yearly highs. The monthly looks like continuation. I mean, before, on Bitcoin, I still think that there's a potential for a pretty nasty pullback somewhere, maybe between like 48 or 50, somewhere slightly above $50,000. But like, it's looking more and more like this move is actually impulsive, which is kind of crazy. I won't go over what exactly that means in this particular video because I want to let this play out a little bit first before I make more egregious statements like that. But, yeah, I think I'll just leave it at that. It's probably best I just leave it at that, actually. Yeah, so Ethereum, going back to it, higher term timeframes, the breakout is not just confirmed, or it is confirmed, but I expect that it's going to get even more intense in the coming months here, as we do see this rotational continue onwards and upwards. We do see that also on the monthly. The 9 exponential is now trading nice and well above the yellow 21. So we have all major moving averages in a bullish posturing. Have to be bullish on this one on the macro scale, especially as long as it's above like 2100. pretty fucking good there. So I expect that this one does continue. Next sort of areas of interest to the upside going to be somewhere between like 2550 and 2700. Should probably expect a little bit of a pullback there, and then perhaps continuation into like 2024, somewhere a little bit above 3,000. We come back to it after that. But yeah, just another reminder on this chart. If you've been, witnessing, if you've been watching this channel for some time now, we started talking about this. We started talking about the likely upside move when it started to put in a higher low here in August. These things take time. That was in August. We're seeing the effects of August now just barely start to rear their head in December, many months later. So, just another reminder that things take time when we're looking at these higher term timeframes. It is what it is, but I just want to kind of continue to remind these in hopefully a helpfully updated video series for the people who've been paying attention, because, well, if you can have a little bit of patience, whether that be in this case about 5 months, some nice things can happen. I expect that this does take even more time. So again, when you're looking at a monthly, it's a much more higher term time frame look, and things naturally take a lot more time to play out. But I expect that for some people that's easy, for some people it's not. Maybe you're one of those people, in which case, congratulations. All right. That's enough for me today. As always, want to wish you the best of the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully Sunday.